Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. I'm Mike Amos. He's Bill Rice Jr. and he's Forrest Lee. Introduce yourselves.
Well, I'm Bill. I like that hat. That looks good on you. That looks like the hat that Bruce Arians, the coach of the
really?
Super Bowl winning team, he wears that same style hat.
Well, let me tell you this. I'm doing mine to keep from seeing the bald head. But it's growing back pretty quick.
And I am Forrest Lee.
And Forrest Lee on the radio, and of course, Forrest, tell us briefly a little bit about you.
Born in Albany, Georgia, and
wait a minute, you a Georgia guy?
Well, I was born in Albany when Daddy was in the service, Air Force Base there at Turner Air Force Base, and then we moved from there to Louisiana, to Texas, to Germany, Biloxi, Mississippi, and we're back in Goshen in 5 years, and we grew up on a dirt road between Goshen and Vidette.
Wait a minute, on a dirt road between which one of those old shanty hats did you?
Between Goshen and Vidette.
Did you grow up in a brick? Did you grow up in a brick house?
No, not at the beginning.
So he wasn't rich. Then,
no,
that's
right?
Good.
Actually,
only rich folks lived in a brick house.
Well, our house was built in 1965, and it had wood around it, but it had black tarp for the longest of times.
Uh-huh.
Well, Mother got a little bit of a pay raise when the Hotel of Troy burnt down. She bought like 5 or 6 truckloads of brick, and they hauled it to the house, dumped it in the front yard. So for about 2 or 3 years, we cleaned bricks. And then later, she bricked half the house with those bricks, the other half.
And those are from the Hotel Troy.
Yes.
Now, Mike, you probably remember that fire. Were you there?
I remember it, but not distinctly.
It was a big fire, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was.
And so we got.
And I'm sure some people was wondering if it was on purpose or not. It was an old building. The city could have burned it down. I don't know if anybody was living there at the time.
It wasn't the hotel when it burned down, was it?
Oh no, it wasn't. It was a restaurant though, a great restaurant, and people loved to go there and drink and eat. And, it was a good place.
At one time,
I want to say the name of it was Waldo's.
At one time, it was a big-time hotel, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Hotel
Troy. And it was about a 5 or 6 story building. That's no other building was that tall in town, and that was the center of attraction. That was the old Troy Hotel, and that's where people.
Tell everybody where it was now.
Well, they got off the train. There was an old depot there. I remember that. There was an old depot.
Right about up from City Hall, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's right next to where the old City Hall building is, where the mayor's office is. It was right across the street from the mayor's office. Is where the hotel was, and.
So that means that people that used to travel by train, they could get off the train and stay at the Hotel Troy.
That's right. And also the hospital, it was Old Edge Hospital, and the Old Edge Hospital stood there, and there was a pharmacy in the basement of there, which was there for years. It was Old Whitman's Pharmacy. Whitman's Pharmacy was there, and it was there until they tore the old hospital down, but the old hospital belonged to Dr. Edge, and he was an old doctor there, and lived in a mansion south of Troy, and a beautiful old.
And then there was Beard's Hospital, right?
And Beard Hospital was.
That's where Rush was born.
I was a patient there at one time with pneumonia, 3rd grade.
So there were 2 hospitals in Troy.
Yeah, there were 2 hospitals, and it was Beard Hospital.
They were private hospitals, in other words, owned by the doctors.
Yeah, I don't think Dr. Brantley was the owner, but Dr. J. Tipcolly was, and Dr. Stewart were the owners, I think, of the hospital. And I think, Dr. Beck was a doctor there, and I think he used Edge Hospital, and Dr. Brantley used Beard Hospital, and there's Willie Buller on our line this morning.
Guten Morgen.
Good morning. Where are you calling from, son? I don't know if it's any rainier than it is here. It is raining here.
But
I'm hoping we don't have a flood. All right.
Yeah.
We
We got an echo this morning. Maybe we can fix that up.
Top of it.
But of course, we.
Now, this is interesting, though, Mike. People do not know that Troy had two hospitals. Newcomers do not know that Troy had two hospitals affiliated with different doctors groups, right, and doctors. And then at some point on, as I understand it, Pappy Talbert was talking on his radio show about we need one hospital, nice hospital, and they talked about it on the radio show and got some guests, and some momentum got built, and they decided to merge and close both those hospitals and build the hospital we have today.
I'm not positive about this, but there was also Dr. Sachs that used Edge Hospital along with old Dr. Edge. He saw people up until they tore that building down, and then the other doctors, Dr. Tip Colley, Dr. Jesse Hall Colley, Dr. Brantley, Dr. Stewart, and all those, they used the old Beard Hospital, our Beard Hospital, and they was there for several years. I was born in Beard Hospital, and that was a long time ago. Your mama was probably born in Beard Hospital.
She was born in Montgomery. My mom was adopted, and then.
Wait a minute! You're telling me that you're telling us a secret that a lot of people probably didn't know.
Well, yeah. Well, let's talk about it. I think it's a great story. She was adopted when she was about less than 1 year old by Hickey and K.K. Chapman, but she was born in Montgomery, and so I've always been a big lover and believer in adoption. My first cousin, Caroline Rice, that now lives in Los Angeles, Pasadena area, was adopted. But yeah, she was adopted, but she moved to Troy, and and she grew up in Troy, and she had my brother Rush when she was 21 years old. Mom and Dad were married when Dad was a senior in college, and Rush was born in Beard Hospital. You know, when he was born, the week before the Alabama-Auburn game, for a couple days. And then Dad was at football practice, trying to win the national championship. That team was undefeated and the biggest football team since the Rose Bowl era. And Mom comes home to have the baby, and they send for Dad. You got to come. And Dad,
he's on the practice field.
They let him out of practice, and he goes down there, and he thinks she's going to be in terrible condition, and she's sitting in there with her old friends, giggling and laughing, and false alarm. So then he runs back up to Tuscaloosa, and he plays in the Iron Bowl. Rush is born, and then like 2 days after Rush is born, Dad plays in the Iron Bowl. And he has 3 sacks and about 10 tackles in that game. The day, 2 days after Rush was born.
He's hit and knocked down by Bill Rice at the Alabama 14-yard line, and the Crimson Tide will take over on down.
Players be married by then, or no?
Well, he didn't like it, but what could he do? I guess if you're a good enough player.
Yeah, if you're 6'5" and weigh 230 pounds and run a 4.5 40, you can do it.
They didn't have like marriage dorms or anything back then, like they did. They had those in Troy, didn't they?
What then?
I think they did have them at most colleges. They
had married dorms.
They didn't have dorms for married.
Yeah, they did.
I kind of want to tell. Well, I feel guilty telling all these dad stories, like I'm bragging on my dad, but I'll tell one more story about Rush and birth and Coach Bryant in this time that I think enough time's passed that I can tell it. So Mom's expecting while they're seniors at Alabama during 1961, so she's going to see her doctor in Tuscaloosa. She's a student up there too, and getting all her maternity obstetric care from a doctor in Tuscaloosa. Well, Alabama goes on, beats Auburn, wins the Sugar Bowl, wins the national championship. Dad plays in the Senior Bowl and plays that. And then finally he comes back to school to finish up, I guess, with Mom in January sometime. And he goes to the doctor in Tuscaloosa to settle their bill for Mom's services. And he goes in and says, I want to pay my bill for Marshall Rice. And the lady says, don't worry about it. That has already been taken care of.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
So who do you think paid that?
Coach Paul Bear Bryant. Is
Now
that right?
now that could not be a recruiting NCAA violation because that bill was settled up after Bill Rice's eligibility had expired.
we don't know who paid it. I don't know, but did Coach Bryant pay for it or what? Who
Well,
paid for it?
that's what my mom and dad are certain of, is that he paid it.
Wow.
Did y'all ever get a picture later in life with your dad and all three brothers with Coach Bryant?
I've just got story after story. Almost, Michael. No, not. We've all got to visit with Coach Bryant at different times. But there's a great story about Coach Bryant and my dad. We were living in Opelika, Alabama.
Opelika, Alabama.
Lee County, Alabama, of all places, the biggest Alabama fans in the world. I lived my Opie Taylor days, 2nd through 6th grade in Opelika. Well, lo and behold, Dad becomes president of the University of Alabama alumni chapter in Lee County.
Yeah.
He's working for the Gulf Oil Corporation. And so Dad said, well, this will be a big thing for the alumni chapter if I can get Coach Bryant to come speak. You know, all the alumni chapters do scholarship fundraisers.
Yeah, sure they do.
So he's never really hardly asked Coach Bryant for many favors, but he calls him up or writes him a letter, and Coach Bryant says, yeah, sure, I'll come down and talk to your group. So that is a huge, huge deal. Paul Bryant flies in from Tuscaloosa to comes to Saugahatchee Country Club and speaks to the Lee County Alabama Club. Huge crowd, front page coverage in the Opelika Auburn News. The only time Paul Bryant went to Auburn, Alabama before Suge Jordan's funeral was that time when Dad. But in that one of the great pictures that was taken by a friend of Dad's that worked for the Opelika Auburn News, a National Guard buddy, is Bobby, my little brother, who was probably then about 7 or 8, wearing his Alabama net jersey, going up to try to get Coach Bryant's autograph, and Coach Bryant's looking at him like, oh my God, who is this kid coming at me? And Dad's got his hand on Bobby's head, just laughing and smiling. And that picture of Bobby and Coach Bryant was on the front page of the Opelika Auburn News.
Do you have a copy of that?
Yeah, Bobby's got it framed.
Okay, that's great.
There was something that had come on the go ahead. I'll come to it in a minute. It had me there. A great.
But and then the footnote to that is I skip forward 25 years. The Rice family goes to the mountaintop game the first time Alabama plays Auburn in Auburn with Pat Dye and Bill Curry. And lo and behold, if the athletic director, David Housel, doesn't have a big article in that game program about the history of Alabama coming to Auburn, and he writes about Alabama and Auburn had never come, and he starts talking about Coach Bryant, and he tells that Coach Bryant story. He was at that event.
Who was his National Guard buddy? Was it
Robert Owsley? I can remember.
Robert Owsley.
He was.
Your dad was in the Guard for how long?
He was in 25 years, 24 years.
Okay, great.
And he was full.
Housel, that's another reason Troy will never play Auburn in football. Is Housel and Larry Blakeney were childhood best friends, and Housel was the athletic director at Auburn, and Larry Blakeney was the head coach at Troy, and Troy still did not play Auburn.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't think it's ever going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. I tell you, the way Auburn's schedule, they'll play Mercer and not play Troy. That shame on them.
Raise my hand. I want to talk. Can I talk, teacher?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I talk? That's the way I was in school. Yeah, Bill, go ahead. Say. I think it's going to happen. You know why? Because economics, it's harder and harder to sell tickets to get fannies in those bleachers. TV contracts may or may not be as big, but Alabama's and Auburn's are going to get tired of playing La Monroe's and having 15,000 empty seats, and then they're going to say, this is ridiculous. Let's go ahead and play Troy, and at least we'll have a full house.
Yeah.
So, Troy,
I mean,
South Alabama?
It might be a while, but I think it's going to happen one day.
Okay, tell us about what's going on for us.
Today, visit Little Caesars Pizza because today is National Pizza Day.
All right.
Little Caesars is one of our
got
sponsors.
the best pizza in town, no question
And,
about it.
That's definitely my favorite, Doug.
And Another breaking news on the high school level: Auburn High School head football coach Adam Weingarten is going to Tuscaloosa County to be the head coach. He used to.
Shocking move there. Tuscaloosa County has not won in years.
And he used to be the head coach at Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa for a couple of years. He was at Fairhope for 3 years. He was 6 years at Auburn, and last year they lost a 9-point lead in the final seconds and lost to Thompson 29-28. His overall record is 119-37. So the head coach at Auburn, Weingarten, is going to Tuscaloosa County to be the head football coach.
That is as informative of news that I've ever heard on this show. Man, that is important news. If that's the headline news, then this is.
I thought we were going to have breaking Charles Henderson head coaching news.
That'd probably be my guess. That will be announced.
Hold that up.
That'll be announced probably Monday or Tuesday.
This might be a good idea to turn this thing around at Charles Henderson High School. It might be to go ahead and change that helmet to that good-looking helmet right there. Show it a little bit better.
It's orange face mask, orange stripe down the middle.
This is a Forrest Lee Trojan headgear.
Never went to this, but that was what I wanted to. That was what I was thinking about doing my last year at the middle school.
Show them the face mask.
Well, I think that's brilliant, Forrest. That looks good.
Isn't that a good-looking helmet? That's a good-looking helmet.
When I played, we had the orange helmets, almost just completely orange.
Yeah, that's right.
And it
didn't even have a
logo.
No,
it was really, now that I think about it, not too attractive at all.
Well, there's one.
We look just like Syracuse when I played. I mean, we looked just orangemen.
And
that's it. Let's do that.
But it closes tomorrow. The applications close tomorrow on the 10th of February, and could be that they take the top 5, interview them, and maybe early part of next week they may name a head coach.
I've heard this, and I heard it from a good source, that over 50 applicants for the job. Charles Henderson High School of Troy. The Trojans hit the field. To me, that's saying something. The Charles Henderson High School Trojans of Troy, and I take pride in being a part of it, and so many people take pride in being a part of Trojan legends.
Well, I think they'll hire the right person. I have no idea who that will be. I think there will be a change, probably in headgear. I think the kids will get very excited.
I'm just throwing that out. I don't know if that's.
I mean, not necessarily this, but I think the kids will be excited. I think he can. Whoever that person is, the middle school job is brand new. I don't know if they've hired anybody, to teach physical education and do that program, but it's a great opportunity to get everybody on the same sheet of music. And the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had a.
Maybe Mike Amos could go over there and say, "We believe." He used to go try to fire him.
I believe, yes, sir. I believe two of the great words in the forever. I believe.
Dad named every Charles Henderson coach since 1960. It is now 2021. Name every football coach.
Oh God, that would be hard. Sonny Queen coached Bill Rice. Frank Sadler coached me. No, Tom McClendon after Frank Sadler, and after Sonny Queen, and then of course, now I've lost
Tom McClendon.
Tom McClendon. Then comes
Frank Sadler.
Frank Sadler. Then comes Jim Tompkins. Wait a minute. Before Jim Tompkins, though, I want to say there was. Oh gosh, y'all put me on the spot here. I can't even remember. Mac Wood was here for 2 years. The great Mac Wood was one of the top coaches of all time in high school sports. And then
who were other coaches in the 70s?
All right, I got it. Y'all want them all?
Yeah.
All right, let's start off with what year? William Clipson, Carol Rooney, Chase Riddle, Sonny Queen, Herman Shoemaker, Tom McClendon, Frank Sadler, Doug Jackson, Jim Tompkins.
Doug Jackson, was he a head coach?
It says he was 7-3 in 1967. Doug Jackson, Jim Tompkins, Mac Wood, Paul Godwin.
Yeah, Paul Godwin, yeah.
William Davis.
Yep.
J. Jeffcoat, Bobby Lee, Ronnie Gilliland, John Fulkerson.
Oh, boy.
J. Jeffcoat again. Hugh Fountain.
J. Jeffcoat was a head coach at 2 different times.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that
So
right?
he's the only one that's coached at 2 different times.
He was 35-18 his first stint. Second stint, 26-37. Then he was followed by Hugh Fountain.
How long was Coach Fountain here?
15 years, wasn't it?
96-11, he was 106 and 67 and had a plethora of college signees.
Well, he's got the all-time winningest record and was here longer than anyone by a long time. So he's
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Mike Dean.
When Jay Jeffco had Kincaid Pennington, I mean, I was on these teams. And I felt like we had a lot of great athletes. You said he went 26-37 the second go around.
That's what it says.
That's right.
Man, that is hard to believe. Wow.
But of course, I broadcast a lot of those games, and Kincaid Pennington right now was a legend in high school running backs. He went over 300 yards, I know, at least twice. And I mean, the thing, Johnny Sharpless, former Alabama great, wide receiver from Elba, was at a football game one day, and I said, Johnny, before the game, I said, you gotta see this kid from Charles Henderson. He just sort of snugged it off a little bit, and after the game, he said, I've never seen anybody like that in my life. And Kincaid Pennington went for over 300 yards against a good Elba team that day.
And then
But the other 300 yards was down in Mobile, wasn't it, Mike?
Yeah, against Blunt.
And all those great teams down there, and he went for over 300 in that game, I think.
Yeah, he went 80, and then he went 85. Then I think the rest of the game he had some more long runs. But the final score was like 42-14.
and we lost 42-14.
Yeah, Charles Henderson. And after that, who you got? Mike Dean.
Yeah, Mike Dean and then Brad McCoy.
Oh, Mike Dean took him to greatness. I mean, he won 14 games and lost in the championship game. He was quite a football coach.
Here's Jeff Coates' record. 78, he was 3-7. 1979, 8-2. 1980, 13-0. 1981,
State championship.
1981, 6-4. 1982, 5-5.
That was my senior year.
Then
But
when
I'll tell you what, that 5-5 could have easily been 9-1, 8-2. That's just.
One day you blew out your knee, man, and cost Troy the state championship.
I might have. The only reason I might have is because when I hurt my knee, I was playing strong safety. And, my senior year, I was going to be the strong safety. And darn if Coach Jeffcoat didn't move Michael Starks, who's one of our best athletes and a heck of a running back, they moved him to defense to strong safety.
He did things like that.
And Michael Starks, he was a great strong safety, better than I would have been, I'm sure. But he would have been a stud as a running back. So that's how I hurt the team.
Jeffcoat never believed in playing anybody both ways. That was just his rule. And he had Buddy Austin one year, and Buddy Austin.
Happy though.
What now?
Yeah.
Made a lot of parents happy. More kids got to play.
Well, and I mean, I'm not saying that they weren't good football players on both sides of the line of scrimmage, but he could have one of the best examples would be Buddy Austin. He would have been an all-state linebacker and an all-state running back.
Right. Well, his last stint.
Richard Calhoun could have played tackle or guard or offensive line. Brian Thomas could have played defensive end and tackle. A guy weighed 300 pounds and was 6'4".
He kind of loosened that.
Could have played both ways.
He changed that up a little his second go round because Kincaid, I know, played some defense too. He played safety a little.
Yeah, a little bit of safety, but not much. Not as much as you would think.
1990, 4-6. That's his first year back. 91, he was 7-5. 92, Charles Henderson was 6-5. 1993, 3-7. 1994, 6-4. And in 1995, his last year, he was 0-10.
Well, that's where his bad record comes from. He's had one.
That was 10 years here.
Yeah, that 1 year, that makes sense now. Okay.
Yeah. Of course, we're talking sports this morning on Today in L.A. This show's brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass right here in Troy. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Here at Bill Jackson Chevrolet in Troy, we've been doing business the right way for 31 years. But don't take our word for it. We feel our customers express it the best.
Been honest in everything we've discussed with them.
When they say Jackson Satisfaction, they really mean it.
The Jackson satisfaction is real.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Hi, Sandy. I'm right here. Come on in.
Debbie, I'm right here. Miss Mary, I'm right here. I'm right here.
Since 1969, we've been right here. Because at Troy Regional Medical Center, we take these words to heart.
I'm right here. Thank you.
Remarkable people, remarkable care.
We have been back to our show, brought to you by P.S. Fault Furniture in Enterprise, Alabama. They're looking for great deals on furniture. The best furniture you'll find anywhere is at P.S. Fault Furniture in Enterprise. Green Hills Funeral Home, and of course Benny and Chrissy, and there's a beautiful, beautiful facility out on the Elba Enterprise Highway. On the Elba Highway, not on the Elba Highway, on the Luverne Highway and the Greenville Highway, and we appreciate them so much being a part of our show, as we do Earl's Glass, and of course they're not just for glass now. They can do all kinds of work on your vehicle and make it look like new again. And of course, Troy Bank and Trust. Hey, Mary Prater, good morning to you. Did you just wake up, honey? Did you just wake up, precious?
She's getting ready to go to school. They want to say hey to you real quick.
All right, well, look, and that's Mary Prater, and here's Millie. She's crawling everywhere, and there she is. How you doing, Millie? Hey, darling, how you doing? And they're getting ready on a rainy day to head to school, and
I bet they're the cutest girls at that school, without a doubt.
Yeah, there's a bunch of little long-haired, blonde-haired surfer boys they go to school with down here. Already doing all kinds of little Valentine's Day cards. It's ridiculous every day.
All right, Mike.
So-and-so gave me a Valentine's Day card. I already have to hear it.
Right around the corner.
Tell us a little bit about college basketball, Mike. What's going on this week?
Yeah, North Carolina game got postponed last night. Alabama's tonight against, I think, South Carolina on the road. Vandy and Auburn. Auburn travels to Nashville tonight as well.
Now, tell me about Auburn. You can't figure. They're hard to figure. What's the deal on Auburn?
Well, I mean, they've lost a lot of close games lately. It doesn't really matter. They've already forfeited the season as far as postseason play. Because the NCAA investigations are coming down pretty soon. I don't know if the Final Four banner will be taken out of the arena or not. I don't know what kind of probation they'll get, but I heard it's not going to be good.
But you mean it affected the Final Four team?
Well, I mean, there's a chance, the recruiting violations. This goes back to when Chuck Person was there.
Oh gosh, a long time ago. Yeah.
But he was on that staff of the team that went to the Final Four.
How good is this Alabama team? Do they have a chance to make to go very high in the playoffs?
I don't know. Quinterly, the guy that transferred in for Villanova, played really well against Missouri the other day. And I think if he can come along and they can get Bruner, the big 6'10" guy that transferred in from Yale, he had a meniscus injury, and if he gets back healthy, they really are lacking size right now down low. I think he'll make a difference. What do you think, Bill? You watching much?
I watch some. Basketball is nerve-wracking for me. I'll watch a little, and then Alabama will throw it away or go on a scoring drought, and I'll just change off. And then I just check the scores from time to time. But I read about them. I guess, it's a strange team. I listened to Wimp Sanderson on Sports Talk Radio yesterday in Montgomery, and he had some interesting observations about how college basketball has changed. Of course, he makes the point that it's all three-point shooting now. That's all, and it's all spread out around the outside. And he said he ran his offense through a power forward or an inside player.
And a point guard.
And a point guard.
And a penetrating point guard.
That's right, like Terry Connors.
Yeah, exactly.
But you always had somebody that was in the post that you could throw it to, and he had some moves. He could hit an 8-footer. And now it's all just spreading the floor, shooting the threes, and then occasionally shooting to the rim. But I'll tell you, I like this Nate Oates. He has come in going against a great Auburn coach, and as mediocre as Alabama's been for decades, to be doing as well as they are right now is something.
No question about it.
Yeah, Alabama plays at 5:30 on the SEC network in Columbia, South Carolina tonight. They're 7-point favorites. Yeah. Also tonight you got Arkansas against Kentucky. Kentucky, I think, only won 5 games all season. And then Auburn will be a 5-point favorite on the SEC network right after Alabama tonight at Vandy.
Forrest, give us some information on the people we need to be praying for.
One thing that we talked a little bit about earlier in the week, yesterday Miss Peggy Davis was laid to rest, and Mr. Joe Bob Allen, and today Mr. Jerry Deloney, his graveside service will be at Green Hills at 2 o'clock, and thinking about his family. And Mike Smith, that you know real well, his service is tomorrow, visitation from 1 to 3 at Green Hill Cemetery, and his service will be at 3 o'clock. That's on Wednesday for Mike Smith.
One of the Smith boys is down, and of course our prayers and our thoughts go out to the family, and of course Randall and brothers Randall and Ben, and those guys are legends when it comes to having some of the best dove hunts that you've ever gone on. I used to go up there, and the most fun was not just shooting the birds, was the party we'd have after shooting the birds with guys like Chase Riddle and Joe Dotson and Heldon Fowler.
Wow.
These legendary guys. And the Smiths, if you ever got invited to a dove hunt up at James Smith's
what
place,
happened to
you were in high heaven.
There used to be dove hunts all the time, and I don't hear about them.
They're not around anymore. The doves are just not around. People like Steve have run them all off.
I went on several but my grandfather and my father, and apparently you, grew up going to dove hunts on Saturdays, and then they're gone.
Well, let me tell you what sort of killed dove hunting. People gonna think I'm funny. I've been trying to be funny.
Going to football games.
Exactly. Let me tell you. At one time, you would if Alabama was playing on television, they play at 2:30.
But that was rare that they were on TV.
I know it, but whenever they were on TV, you're right. It was not an area game. It would either be Michigan, Ohio State, and Alabama, Auburn, whatever. But you'd be at a dove hunt, and what you do, you carry your transistor radio with you, and you got your. I always had a bucket to sit on, and I'd start eating raw peanuts and get sick off raw peanuts, and waiting for the doves to come in. And then in the meantime, the going on at the same time was college football.
On the
and
radio.
you would usually catch Alabama on the radio. It was mostly on the radio, and listening to
or Auburn, I'm sure.
Alabama, Tennessee, or Alabama, Georgia, whatever, whoever was playing. But and then the birds would come in. You shoot the birds, and then you'd go to your little gathering around one person's pickup truck. And they,
No, I mean, when you killed the bird, would you walk out there and get it, or did you have dogs, or?
Some people had dogs, but most people we just went on out there and grabbed them. A lot of times people would go ahead and take the breast out and just throw it in a bucket, throw them in a bucket, and what we normally would do would be everybody would take their kill, the birds, pull the breast out and throw them in a bucket. And then one Friday night or Saturday night on down the line, we'd have a big dove eating at one of these guys. Usually James Smith's house. Yeah. They'd eat dove, and it was a deep fried dove, and it was delicious. And they served it with grits and biscuits, and it was just tradition. And all these traditional guys. Roy Crow, my father-in-law, was really involved in it every time. But I mentioned Chase Riddle, the legendary guy.
Yeah, he was probably a good shot.
He loved to dove hunt, and but now there were several people that were real good dove hunters. One of them was Dan Harris, who people, when he come out there, he was just like Bear Bryant out there in the dove field. The best dove shooters, and also Thomas Walker's daddy was a real good shot, and
my grandfather Hickey Chapman was a very good
that's
shot.
right, yeah.
And what did they get? What kind of guns would they use? Would they
usually either double barrel, 12 gauge double barrels, or what I've got is a Remington automatic.
20 gauge will kill a dove in a heartbeat.
But a lot of people love that pump, that old fashioned 20 gauge pump, and a lot of people love those. But there were a lot of good shots out there, and a lot of people loved the dove hunts. Monkey Helms, the late Monkey Helms, was, I never went to a dove hunt anywhere. If Monkey Helms wasn't there, he'd go from one dove hunt to another dove hunt, and he was just a legendary dove hunter.
Who would organize them? The landowners, and they just invite their buddies? Or?
Well, people, what they do, you did it around picking peanuts. The farmers would pick peanuts.
We had peanut fields, so we'd have dove hunts on our property.
Yeah, we had a real good place, still do, to hunt birds. But those the Smiths would always arrange the dove hunts usually. Mr. James Smith and Ben.
So they just call up their buddies and say, we're having one?
Yeah, that's right. And you didn't want to let everybody know about it because you'd have dove hunters coming in from all around. And to my knowledge, they never really cheated. A lot of people said, they would throw wheat out and stuff like that to bait fields. But, Sorry James and those folks used to, and that was his name, Sorry James. Those guys used to have huge dove hunts down in Saco.
Oh, that's where I went. It's always for some reason it was always near Saco, and I remember the last one I went on was kind of where the Walmart is today. It was Mr. Dozier's.
That's right. Yeah. But dove hunting was a big thing back then, and like I said, the parties around it, and the dove suppers, and Don Hobbs was another guy, was a great cook, and then C.F. Rowland. I could call them out.
I remember those dove stools. Now that you think about it, they had little stools and then you could put your birds in a little pouch.
It was revolving. The seat was revolving, if you remember right. It would, of course, I'd get a dove. Usually get a dove bucket every Christmas because I'd always mess mine up. Usually break it or something.
I've heard this story. It must be true.
I killed probably about 100 dove on Crow Hill off power line.
Yeah. The worst thing in the world was these guys, and when they get to a dove hunt, they'd all have a position of where they'd be, and James Smith, Mr. James, would come up and he said, look here now, over here, look here. That's what he would say, look here. You set up right up over here, you set up over here, and everybody be set up around the huge peanut field and wait for the bird to come in, and it was just a lot of fun. And then these guys that were the great shooters, they would go to a place where they knew where the bird were going to come in. And they were near power lines. A lot of times they would set up near power lines because the bird normally are going to come in and either land on the field and start eating or hit the power lines or flying toward the power lines. And they would shoot the bird.
You might remember this. You might have been a kid. We wrote a story about it in the Troy Citizen. They had a bad pigeon problem in downtown Troy, especially around First United Methodist Church. And one time they organized a shooting, and they got all the best bird shooters in town, including my grandfather Hickey, and closed up downtown. Must have been on a Sunday afternoon, and killed as many of the pigeons as they could.
Thank goodness the environmentalists didn't find out about it.
Could you do that today?
You'd be sued. Those poor old pigeons.
There's an iconic picture of Bear Bryant and Suge Jordan, walking through the woods with their shotguns on their shoulder, I believe.
Of course, that was bird hunting. That was, of course, they were quail hunting.
Quail hunting, and that's disappeared too, hasn't it?
That's right, sure has. And now what they do, they go ahead and they get these, they take the quail and they're in a bird basket or whatever, and they'll walk out and they'll let those birds out, and then they'll come back and sit around and talk and shoot the breeze and let those birds get where they move around a little bit. And then they'll walk out there and hunt them.
Yeah.
The pet birds.
The pet birds.
It always seems like a good way to get shot.
Yeah, exactly, because you didn't know where the birds would be. You didn't know if they're going to be behind you or in front of you or to the left or right of you. And you had to sort of guess of where they were going to be. You're right. It's a wonder. Yeah. A lot of that, at least what you...
Our Vice President of America shot somebody on a quail shoot.
Yeah.
The quail's on the menu at the Barn Restaurant in Goshen.
Is it really? Oh, boy.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday
My wife loves quail, loves to eat quail.
We're going to go there sometime soon, aren't we?
But it's changed a lot.
And duck hunting. My dad used to go duck hunting, not wake up and go duck hunting. He used to go duck hunting all the time with Pat Dye when they were in the Army at Fort Benning, but that's disappeared.
It is
But the question is, what hunting remains? So I guess it's just deer hunting or turkey hunting.
Well, back whenever I would go to my grandmother's on Thanksgiving morning, us boys or us little boys would go with our daddies squirrel hunting. And they would. Now, squirrel hunting is different, where you shake the nest and try to get the squirrels to come out of the nest. But the best thing, the old way to do it, was to have a squirrel dog that would go and tree the squirrels, and everybody would surround the nest, the tree where the nest is, and wait for the squirrel to come out.
I feel bad for the squirrel.
But at that time, well, I know you see those little squirrels.
A rat with a tail. That's what it's called.
I don't know. It's pretty good to eat, though. I never heard anybody eat a rat. But
I'll say this: some of those beautiful fox squirrels, Troy Country Club.
Beautiful.
Those things were massive back in the day.
Yeah,
you're right. You saw them on the golf course at Troy Country Club. That's right.
Yeah, you could get in trouble if you killed one of those squirrels. Those were pet squirrels right there. And but now a lot of times you didn't.
But I've heard all kind of people that grew up squirrel hunting. Yeah.
Yeah, but and squirrel is good now. Let me tell you something. It's good to eat. I remember eating squirrel all my life, and it's.
What about rabbit?
Rabbit's good, real good to eat. Real good to eat. It's more of a white meat. It's really good.
How would you kill a rabbit? They are so fast.
Well, You're right. How do you? I don't ever remember going rabbit hunting in my life. I didn't know how to.
You can start whistling and they'll stop sometimes.
Oh yeah.
That's probably.
Yeah, and there's such a thing as like I watched Pat Dye on the hunting show years ago out of Birmingham, and they were killing. I think they call them swamp rabbits.
Swamp.
And they're around like the bayous, maybe somewhere around Alabama.
They were big, and they were big rabbits. Yeah.
Yeah, they were huge. I was like, my God.
Well, it's like a jackrabbit, and you know what? My son's name is Jack, and I dubbed him Jackrabbit very early, so that's his nickname. And so I've researched jackrabbits. They're big.
Yeah.
And you know there is a team that is called the Jackrabbits. It's South Dakota State.
That's right.
And so lo and behold, this Christmas I ordered me some jackrabbit gear. And so today at school, Jack is wearing his Jackrabbit South Dakota State Jackrabbit t-shirt.
The new offense coordinator at Troy played at South Dakota State.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
He's
right.
a jackrabbit.
He can tell you all about him. Yeah.
I got a jackrabbit hat.
You know, if you're an avid dove hunter, if you're an avid quail hunter, give us a call this morning and let's hear from you on our show. Of course,
there's a great debate yesterday. They're saying Tom Brady now is the greatest athlete of all time in professional sports. With his 7th, Super Bowl championship. They're saying now they put him ahead of Jordan and people like Wayne Gretzky and people like Federer in tennis, Tiger Woods in golf. I mean, I think football is definitely the most dangerous sport, probably one of the toughest sports to play. I would say Brady maybe is the greatest athlete of all time now.
Well, you're exactly right. Now, you take a quarterback that's got time to throw, he can be pretty good if he's got time to throw. And Brady, I think he got sacked early in the game, but they never touched him after that,
But this quarterbacking is funny. It's quick decision making, being able to read that defense so fast and make the right decisions. So you don't have to be we talk about Tom Brady being an athlete, but he doesn't meet many people's definition of an athlete. Just like Mac Jones, I tell you, Mac Jones has some Tom Brady in him.
He really does. In fact, he's a Tom Brady type coach. He's not going to run away from you. He's not going to run out of the pocket much unless he has to. He's a drop back passer.
And he's going to move just enough.
Loves to throw play action, make it look like run, make the linebackers think it's going to be run, and then throw over the linebacker.
I've already played some of these playoff games. And
War Eagle, and we're going to go on break right after this. But we wanted a little word from Albie this morning. Auburn is recruiting still today, trying to get some players to represent the Tigers of Auburn next football season. So who do they open up with next year?
Couldn't tell you.
Who do they open up with?
I've gave that roster.
They were going to open up with North Carolina this year. That would have been a good game.
Are they still going to do it?
That was
this past year. We'll be back after this.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Hi, Sandy. I'm right here. Come on in.
Daddy, I'm right here. Oh, Miss Mary, I'm right here. I'm right here.
Since 1969, we've been right here because at Troy Regional Medical Center, we take these words to heart.
I'm right here. Thank you.
Remarkable people, remarkable care.
A personal touch. A high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Back to our show, Mike Amos, along with the legendary ones in
Rice and Lee.
The Rice.
Rice, Lee, and Amos Rice and Lee.
This is
the
Rice,
law
Lee,
firm
and
of
Amos
Amos
show.
Rice and Lee.
Oh, gosh. Of course, we're thankful to the Withington Group. And, of course, remember, you're in good hands with Allstate. See Perry Green at the Withington Group right here in Troy. And, of course, remember this outstanding hospital that we have right here in Troy, Alabama, Troy Regional Medical Center. And I tell you, I'll put it up against any small town hospital anywhere. We got a call coming in. Let's see what we got. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, Mike. Will Matthews.
All right, Will Matthews is on the line, and our attorney from Ozark. How's everything going down there? Wet. All the way to the Gulf of Mexico, I reckon, isn't it?
Hey, Will, let me see if I can put you on hold and get Michael back on the line. If I drop you off, try again. Sorry. I got a conference.
Yep, conference.
And hit, what, one?
Yep. And hit.
Hold. Are y'all both there?
I believe both of them are there.
Oh, well, that was easy. I don't
Yeah,
know what I did.
Will Matthews is. Tell us about the golf tournament this past weekend.
Well, Jessica just came from nowhere to win it, but it was like, all the ones in the lead were just taking the collar toward the end of the tournament.
Let me ask you this. He hits that shot 100 times. He probably makes it maybe twice. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
That was a tough pitch, wasn't it?
30-something yards.
It wasn't really Mike, I played that golf course. The shot he had was not that tough because, you just bounce it into the hill and it takes one bounce and it rolls out. I would say the pros would get that up and down probably 60-70%.
Really?
Whoa, that's a lot, Will. 60 to 70% they'll get it up and down from there.
Oh, man. 90 feet.
Now, if he was in a bunker, it'd probably be 90% they'd get it up and down.
90% they'd get it up and down. Whoa.
Will, this went in the hole. We're talking about a shot that went to the hole. Oh, that rarely happens. I would say 1 in 200 or 300 shots would go. Yeah, he eagled 17 to win the tournament. Yeah, I would say 1 in. He could sit there with 5 buckets of balls, and he might make 1 or 2.
I'd still be
So
there.
see, that's what I'm talking about. That's a shot that's not made very many times.
But they get it up and down. They're that good. They'll get it up and down 60-70% of the chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got Pebble Beach this week, so that's going to be a fun tournament to watch. I love to watch that. That's just such a beautiful place.
And
we were talking about Clint Eastwood, the great actor and director, yesterday. Didn't Clint Eastwood once have an ownership in Pebble Beach?
He was the mayor of Carmel. Yeah,
he did. Now, they bought it. He may still have an ownership in it. The Japanese bought it about 25 years ago, and then an American group bought it back from them.
Well, it's one of the great golf courses of all time, and that's where the tournament's going to be this weekend. And there's
Mike, you can go play it anytime you want to. It's public.
Yeah, I knew that.
How many times have you played it?
I actually played it once when I was in college. We had a college tournament. Played Pebble Beach. We played Cypress Point, and we played another course. I don't even know if it's even there anymore. It was kind of like a military base course. It wasn't a very nice course.
How much did it cost for the average person to play that course? 18 holes.
It's 500, I think.
500, I think.
$500 to play 18 holes of golf.
That's just the golf. Yeah.
And
we went there one time and went to the clubhouse, and you probably spent $1,000 just on merchandise.
well, but I tell you what, it was just driving rainstorm like we're having here right now, and you know, there was no way you could play that golf course. You know, at that time, it was back when Troy played in the Silicon Bowl, and it was just a driving rainstorm all weekend.
I'm glad y'all went though. That was. Rush, my brother Rush has played it once or twice.
Some of his boys, some of his buddies from the Montgomery Country Club.
Yep.
One of his buddies is a guy named Longshore, isn't it?
That's right.
And hey, you know Longshore. You've probably been around Longshore. He's really a very well liked guy. Is that right?
He comes across as
He's my brother's best friend.
yeah, that's right. Warren is John's best friend.
Really,
he comes across first time you meet him is kind of super cocky but you're right. Once you get to know him, he's a sweetheart. He's a great guy.
he might not appreciate it. Yeah. So we're talking about you know, the morning show on radio every morning, and
he talks about your brother all the time. You know, he's the kind of the counselor of the show.
Of course, your brother lives in Greenville, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, but he works in Montgomery.
Yeah, exactly.
Your brother loves the game of basketball.
Yeah, my brother.
You're not talking to.
Has been on the committee to do the Final Four in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Playoff thing.
He was a good basketball player himself. I remember playing we were all Sigma News. John Longshore, Warren Matthews, Bill Rice, Rush Rice, Mark Davis, Stuart Vance, Charles Bradshaw, Wes Gaylord.
Golly. Those were all fraternity brothers.
Kent Hendricks.
Yeah. The Longshore was.
How many of y'all made it through the whole 4 years?
I didn't. I made it through that sorry pledge program that I could tell you some stories about.
My brother has got the all-time free throw shooting record at Carroll High School in Ozark.
Does he really?
And it will never be touched. I mean, he hit way over 90% free throws.
Oh, me.
Well, he's big.
He was a really good free throw shooter.
Who is we talking about free throw shooting?
Well, he's a smart guy. I mean,
the Stripling girl from Geneva County.
Yeah.
She set the state record, single season record for 44 in a row. She's a 6'2", going to University of Tennessee.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh, man.
Stripling. That's her last name.
Geneva County. Wow. Mike, guess who the greatest free throw shooter in the history of the Wiregrass was?
He was a coach. He played.
Jim Farmer.
No, he was a coach, and he played at he played high school ball at Enterprise, and then he later on coached. And I can't remember his name.
He was Wayne Purvis.
Wayne Purvis, that's who it was.
Wayne passed away, but they had a deal, Mike, in Dothan, Alabama one time, about 25, 30 years ago. Wayne Purvis challenged JoJo White of the Boston Celtics to a free throw shooting contest. They shot 100 free throws for $5,000, and JoJo White hit 95 out of 100 and lost.
Yeah.
98 out of 100.
I remember that same story, so it's got to be true.
Must have been for charity, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Some people can just. What's the record for most consecutive free throws hit over in the NBA? I wonder.
Calvin Murphy out of Niagara, they say, was the greatest NBA free throw shooter.
And he wasn't but about 5'8". He was, but he could. Let me tell you this: he could stuff a basketball.
Yeah.
And I mean, what I'm saying, he could jump out of the gym. That Calvin Murphy. That we ought to do a story on him one day. That was a.
And you know what else his other hobby was?
What?
Dance.
Baton twirling.
Baton twirling. That's right.
Me.
He was an unbelievable baton twirler.
Now, two more of the best was Bob Cousy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob Cousy and Rick Barry both did it underhand. Were probably over 90%.
Well, and see, like you said, Rick Barry was a great
Underhanded.
free throw shooter.
And why more people don't do it underhand when he proved how?
Well,
Wilt
Wilt finally went to underhand, and it improved his a lot.
But he said that nobody likes the way it looks, and so they don't do it. But it actually must be the better way to shoot them.
They used to call it the granny shot.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they still call it.
Steph Curry's 90.47.
Well, exactly. What were your comments about the Super Bowl? I thought the Super Bowl was boring, especially when the officials got in it. The officials turned that game around. You think about it.
Have you been talking to Mahomes' mother?
No, but I'll tell you this. I thought the officials ruined that game. I really did. Every time Kansas City, every time Brady threw the football, it's going to be a flag.
Well, the referees ruined the game.
They
determine the outcome of a lot more games than we realize, usually with pass interference calls, because that's a 50-yard penalty.
And you put your one hand on him, and they call it. Well, let me tell you this: there's no way in the world to defend anybody without putting one hand on him, not grabbing the jersey, but just putting your hand on him.
And most of these throws, they're uncatchable, so it really doesn't affect whether the guy could catch the ball. I'm with you. It's just everybody says, what's going to be the keys to the game? Well, I'll tell you what the keys to the game are going to be. Who gets the bogus penalties that keep a drive alive?
But it got where it was just comical, because every time Brady threw the football, he was either going to get a pass interference penalty or a complete pass.
Well, I picked the Bucks, if y'all remember, 31-30.
Yeah, that's right. You sure did.
And so it was a factor,
that was a lot of distraction
small
for
factor.
Andy Reid, too. His son was in a horrible car accident that has injured two little girls, and that happened on like a Wednesday night.
Wednesday.
His son's probably going to go to prison over this.
Oh, maybe. Well, it wasn't a hit and run, though, was it?
No, he admitted to having drinks.
On prescription medicine, and he's their outside linebacker coach for the Chiefs as well. So I don't think that helped any.
No, you're right.
The lead up to that game.
Nope.
Exactly right. No question about it. And I tell you.
He didn't even make the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little 4 and a 5-year-old girl, I think, and one of them's still in life-threatening condition.
Mm-hmm. Well, our prayers and our thoughts go with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we sure have.
Tell us some more about him.
Well, I know one thing. Earlier in the season.
You're not talking through a mic or something.
We barely can pick you up.
Speak up. We can't hear you well.
How about this?
There we go. That's perfect.
Now you jumped up.
That's perfect. Yeah.
All right. Steve was at the Jets, and they had not won a game. Okay? They were like 8 or 0-9, whatever. And then he got traded to Tampa, who at the time was 7-5, I think. Tampa hadn't lost a game ever since. So Steve either won every game or lost every game this year.
That's something.
And he's $150,000 richer. Is that right? That's
Yeah. The winners get $150,000 and the losers get $75,000.
Well, that's not actually true.
And
the government, the state, and federal government will
I know,
get 50%
but they
of that.
gross that much, don't they?
Yeah.
So the government, Uncle Sam gets a nice bonus for winning the Super Bowl. That's a little political commentary there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, in women's basketball or the Troy State men, they will travel to South Alabama Thursday, and the women will host South Alabama this Thursday. And then they'll flip this Saturday. The men will play at home against South Alabama, and the girls will travel to Mobile to play South Alabama.
Go to the game, support the Trojans in that beautiful arena.
And got some good information.
Big announcement yesterday as far as politics in the state of Alabama. Richard Shelby announced his retirement from the U.S. Senate in 2022. Richard Shelby is 86 years old. All time to retire.
Well, let me tell you this: he's been a lifesaver for the state of Alabama, being on the armed forces.
He's brought home the pork, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's helped Fort Rucker and a lot of the military bases in state. A lot.
He's from Tuscaloosa.
We'll bring Steve Flowers on one day and talk about him. Steve really is very well versed when he's talking about.
My aunt and uncle liked him in Tuscaloosa, and my cousin Caroline, that you know about Mike. She worked for him when she was out of college. And said he was a fine guy.
Now your uncle.
Pick candidates to replace Richard Shelby at center. Katie Boyd Britt, her husband played at Alabama. Wesley Britt, U.S. Representative. This guy has a lot of backing and
come out of the north.
Mo Brooks.
Oh boy,
Alabama.
yeah.
He's a candidate, possibly. Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall would be a candidate. State Representative Tommy Haynes. Lieutenant Governor Will Ashworth. Alabama Secretary of State John Merrill. Bradley Byrne, who's run several times out of Mobile. Jeff Sessions would be a possibility again.
Oh boy, yeah.
And then Doug Jones would be a Democratic candidate. And State Representative Rep Chris England would also be a Democratic candidate.
But now, when does that go into effect, though?
Next year?
2026.
2 years.
All right, okay, so it's going to be around for a while, no question about it. Of course, we appreciate Troy Bank and Trust Company. Remember, Troy Bank and Trust Company is the only bank you'll ever meet. All right, that building right there, where Sandbuck is right there, what used to be in that building?
Rosenberg's.
How does a guy like you know that? You don't supposed to know that.
I can remember the air tank going up and down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Of course, one of the best clothing stores in this part of the country at one time. Did you ever shop at Rosenberg's, Will, growing up?
No, we always had, of course, we had Marquette years ago, and Hillboat had a place years ago, and then Fairfield had his place.
And he's still got a wonderful, wonderful store at Bearfields.
You don't have these things anymore, Mike. Department stores.
But Bearfields is still there, isn't it?
The department stores have run out
Yeah.
on small business people.
Hey, Mr. Will, does Steve McClendon still live in Ozark?
Yes.
And he's.
Because I'm sure they'll have a day for him, probably, won't they? Don't you think they'll have a special day for Steve McClendon?
Mike, he does stuff all the time in Ozark. I mean, he promotes Ozark.
Yeah, he does. And boy,
I'll tell you what, he's had a great career, and not only that, he's going to get a really good NFL pension one day, isn't he?
Well, he joins Wilbur Jackson as two Ozark players that won the Super Bowl.
That's right.
That's something right there.
That's pretty neat.
That's exactly right.
He lived in Ozark all his life.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, he's not hard to recognize because you've never seen anybody with a neck that big.
No.
He's got to be a football player.
You know, they canceled the North Carolina game. I'm just reading right now over Miami last night due to the fact there was a lot of videos that came out of North Carolina players partying and celebrating with students in Chapel Hill after their big win at Duke on Saturday night. So I guess they have video evidence of players without masks on, and due to that, I guess Miami decided not to play the game against North Carolina. That's unbelievable.
That's something. Ooh.
And we're talking about they're not in the top 25. Kansas fell out yesterday. You know, all the big boys are not doing well.
Gonzaga's the best team in America right now, Mike.
Well, they played BYU. They played BYU last night. I don't know what the final score was.
Is BYU good?
I mean, you know, I think Gonzaga beats everybody by around 15 points a game. So I don't know what the final score was.
All right, let's see how quick you guys can react. What?
Gonzaga won 82-71.
What great pro guard was played at BYU?
John.
Oh, BYU?
Danny Ainge.
Danny Ainge, that's right.
He sure did. He also played Major League Baseball briefly, too.
That's right, he sure did. He was a great athlete.
It'd be interesting to find the players that have played two major professional sports.
Of course,
Deion, Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
There was some guy that played for the Cardinals that was a safety in the NFL that played several years.
Oh, yeah, Ron Jordan. He was a good player.
I don't remember.
Oh, yeah, he was.
Yeah. Alabama, Michael, has two guys that have signed football that are going to try to play basketball. And I watched the high school video clips of one of them, the safety from Tallahassee, Florida. Man, he's good in basketball. Yeah. If you watch that clip,
play basketball?
Kool-Aid.
Alabama's going to let him play football.
It's not Kool-Aid, but Kool-Aid is another one.
This guy is an amazing dribbler, and he's real fast, and he can take it to the hole. He can hit the three-pointer, too. But they say they're going to let him. This is the first for Nick Saban. Both these guys, they're going to let him try to play basketball, too.
And who's the other kid?
Kid from
Kool-Aid. Is it Kool-Aid McKinstry?
Yeah. And he's practicing with the team right now. He just graduated from high school, and he's not playing, but they're letting him practice.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Boy, how times have changed. That's just unreal. A player to come to Alabama. I think this is the first. I don't remember any others.
I can't remember any either that played both in Alabama. I mean, I think there's been a couple that have tried, but I cannot remember a guy that played significant minutes in basketball and football at Alabama.
Yeah. And at Auburn, you've got.
Y'all are talking about Gonzaga. Who is the greatest player ever to come out of Gonzaga?
Stockton?
John Stockton?
Yeah, Stockton.
I was listening to Wimp Sanderson on the radio show yesterday, and he said they've got a lot of international players. He made a joke that said that these international players, they don't know anything about America, and so they don't know. They think Gonzaga is, like Duke or North Carolina. They're about becoming.
And you say that's how he's built his team. He's got a lot of international players.
Yeah. According to Wimp Sanderson.
Yeah. Of course, our telephone number is 670-0052. Call us and let me hear your opinion.
These international players can play. The guy from Greece is dominating, right? And then don't the Dallas Mavericks have some guy now that is awesome?
Yeah, Luka Doncic. Yeah.
So before that, they had another international player from Germany, Dirk Nowitzki.
Mike, who's the guru though? What's his name? Is that who you just mentioned?
Luka Doncic is the guy everybody talks about now.
Yeah. All right. Now tell us about him. Look up some stats on him, and tell us about him.
He's only like 22.
He's 22 years old.
He plays for Dallas, but I mean, he's the guy that everybody talks about now as the next great player.
All right, does he shoot the three, or what does he do?
Oh, boy, yeah.
Yeah, he's a guard. He does it all.
And what's his name again?
Luka Doncic.
Okay. And he is one of the top. Would you think he's one of the top 5 players out there now?
Yep. I think so.
Yeah.
And so whenever we can catch Dallas, we can catch Luka then.
I don't keep up with
he averages about 28 a game.
28 a game?
Yeah.
Boy, he sort of reminds people of Pistol Pete Maravich, doesn't he?
Well, I mean, he's got that kind of game, yeah. Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
There's a man in Ozark that's a big basketball fan. He would call Luka Doncic a shootist.
A what?
A shootist.
Basketball players that can shoot. A shootist.
Is that my old buddy, the old coach?
No, he's good friends with Cecil.
Yeah.
Kenny Thompson.
Cecil Skinner, one of my good friends.
Well, I'll set y'all up with an easy movie trivia question. What was John Wayne's last movie?
The Shootist.
There you go. That's right.
Well, let me tell you this. All right, now, what was Clint? All right, here it is. What was
Ron
Clint?
Howard.
Was in it, Ron?
Ron Howard was in it.
How about this one right here? How
Katharine
about Clint Eastwood's last movie? You know that?
He was just in one.
Yeah, I saw it last night on TV.
Wasn't he some kind of drug runner or something? Or
no.
Mule.
His name. He was in a western. It was called. Oh shoot! Now I can't even remember.
Unforgiven.
No, we're talking about Clint Eastwood. Excuse me. What am I talking about?
John Wayne?
No, look, not any of those guys. Oh God.
Tom Hanks?
No. Boy, I wish I hadn't opened my mouth.
Kevin Costner.
Dad, let's get back to basketball real quick. Dad, you saw this play. You saw Michael Jordan play live. I saw Michael Jordan play live on the Dream Team.
Did you really?
Some other great basketball players. I saw Stockton and Malone play the Hawks. Like, who are some of the greatest? Did you ever see Bird play that?
Never in person, no. I never did. Every now and then I'll be over in Atlanta on business, and I got to see Michael Jordan and them play. But
if Barabich would have had a 3-point line, he would have scored 100 points.
Oh yeah, isn't that unbelievable? If he would have, he averaged 40-something points a game. Go ahead.
I want to tell y'all a Cecil Skinner story. For years, Cecil was on the coaching association for years, and they give him Final Four tickets. Anyway, Cecil had the best ticket because he had been a coach so many years, and he would go on Saturday. We'd all go. I mean, we had a group that went, and he would leave. He didn't want to go to the final game. He watched that on TV. So Cecil gave me his ticket to the final game in New Orleans in 1982. Anyway, I was sitting next to Al McGuire and Frank McGuire in the game.
Oh me.
Like the fourth row. That was Cecil's ticket.
I knew he went to a lot of games like that.
Michael Jordan was freshman, and they beat Georgetown, and he made about a 20-foot jump shot to win the game.
Yeah.
And then Georgetown threw the ball to Worthy instead of their own guy, and they lost.
Well, you're kind of like Forrest Gump. I mean, you just got these little places where you're at all these big famous events. You're there.
What we're gonna do? We're gonna have a book written one day, and it's gonna be named the true answers to Will Matthews.
That's one of the most famous
Will. Don't find
basketball
Waldo.
games
Find Will.
in my lifetime. That one you were out in the fourth row.
We're just cutting up. We just marvel at so many places you've been. All right, see if you can answer this, Will. The last movie that Steve McQueen played in. Do y'all know?
Bullet.
No, not Bullet.
Walking Tall?
No, gosh, he wasn't in Walking Tall.
That was Joe Don Baker.
No, Steve McQueen wasn't in.
He was in the Towering Inferno. I remember that, but I don't know if that was his.
He was in a lot of indie movies.
Was he the one where he was a thief?
Yeah, he was
jewel thief.
Yeah, maybe a jewel thief movie. What was it?
It was it was Honda.
The Thomas Crown Affair?
No, not the Thomas Crown Affair. The last movie he played in.
I don't know.
Come on, bail me out.
Were you going to say Hondo?
Hondo, yeah, Hondo.
That was a John Wayne movie that maybe they remade.
No, not Hondo. But it was on last night, and I watched it. It was pretty good.
Steve McQueen, he was cool.
Steve McQueen was a great actor. I mean, was a very popular actor, no question about it. What was the name of that? Look up Steve McQueen.
I'm looking it up right now. Let's see.
I've got a lot of friends that I think resemble movie stars. I'm going to tell you now in their prime, not now, of course. But my friend Kyle Ingalls looked kind of like Steve McQueen growing up. Eddie Barnett looked kind of like Matt Dillon. Al Bracewell looked like a young Kevin Costner when Al.
Oh, you serious?
Yeah.
So the last movies he was in were The Towering Inferno, Enemy of the People,
Tom Horn was the last movie that Steve McQueen played in. I'm almost positive. But and I was, he was one of my favorites, and of course he died early of cancer, and fought it real, just as hard as you could.
Mark Ham is Marlon Ham's brother, the older brother. Marlon does contracting work in Pike County. But Markham in high school, he looked like a young Tom Cruise from Risky Business. Yeah.
I know that makes them feel good this morning. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is Today in L.A. brought to you from our studios on South Brundage Street right here in Troy, Alabama. We're on Facebook live across the nation, throughout the world.
Doesn't your brother look like Marty Schottenheimer?
Oh, my brother does. Yeah,
Joel,
you're exactly right.
Yeah, he looks like Marty Schottenheimer.
He sure does.
He gets stopped all the time over us.
Yeah, he sure does.
Y'all laugh, but you know who Bobby has been, people have thought Bobby was before in airports, is Peyton Manning.
Does it?
Not now, but about 15 or 20 years ago. I mean, Bobby says there's been a couple times that people, because he's big and like Peyton Manning. And
yeah, exactly.
He's going in the Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame. Peyton
Manning. Know, it's amazing how we come up with certain things to talk about.
You know, DeMarcus Ware goes in next year, Dad.
He does.
Watch him get inducted into the Hall of Fame.
He does.
Yeah, he's eligible, in other words.
He's eligible.
He'll make it.
He's eligible. A lot of people think for sure he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I tell you, he's one of the most humble people I know. He is a fantastic individual, and I tell you what, if everybody was like him, it would be a better world to live in. I promise you.
When did you realize that he was a great player? I'm sure you watched him as a freshman.
Well, I watched him, and he was a receiver. He was a wide receiver when he got here, and I think they moved him to that rush in, and he started. He was so fast, that they kept him there, and he probably would have been a great wide receiver, but they moved him to rush in. He weighed about 210, 215, and then the latter couple of years, he moved up to about 250, 252 or something like that, and could outrun everybody out there.
That's what I've heard. Yeah,
which was unreal.
The new class is Peyton Manning, of course. Won 2 Super Bowls, one with the Colts, one with Denver. Calvin Johnson, of course, he played with the Detroit Lions and retired, I think, when he was like 31.
Yeah, I remember when Troy played against him and shut him down.
Yeah, we were tied going into the fourth quarter, 10-10, I think.
Charles Woodson, of course, he beat Manning for the Heisman his senior year. Woodson played for Oakland and played for Green Bay, was a great defensive back. Alan Faneca was the center, played at LSU in college. John Lynch was the strong safety for the Tampa Bay Bucks and Denver Broncos. But that's your newest players going in, and then Tom Flores, the former Raiders coach, went in.
Yeah, I'm glad he went in. I was always wondering why it took so long for him to go in.
Flores.
He's a good coach.
On the rosters of the Super Bowl, 32 players were from the Southeastern Conference, 30 from the FCS or lower college divisions. There were 30 players represented, and then the Big Ten had 22, the ACC had 14, and the Sun Belt Conference had 3. And most on the rosters, LSU had 7 and Michigan had 7. But that was some stats that they threw out yesterday on CBS Sports.
I've been watching the draft gurus mock drafts real closely because Alabama has a chance to have as many first-round picks as any team in the history of the draft. The Miami Hurricanes had 6 players that went in the first round one time. And according to who you listen to, Alabama has 6 to 9, if you can believe it, possible first-round picks. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being like 5. But there's an outside chance that Alabama could have 6, even 7 players drafted in the first round, which would be amazing.
All right, guys, y'all's latest info on the virus. There's still time when you're outside. Please wear your mask and wear it religiously because there's still a lot of danger out there for people that do not adhere to the requirements of the day, and that's one, to wear the mask whenever they're outside their own homes.
I can report that they gave the vaccine to the Troy City Schools teachers yesterday. My wife got one.
Great.
That's great.
Is that with all the schools or what?
Troy City Schools teachers, I guess. So I guess that's elementary, middle school, and high school. And
I bet there was a lot of people, trying to. There's a train. I hear a train coming.
That's a harmonica.
Oh yeah. But I would think that there would be a lot of teachers or people claiming to be teachers.
I know. I mean, I hear of all these long lines and cars lined up for a mile, and she went and in 5 minutes had it.
Oh man, that's great.
Did they give her the Moderna or the?
I need to ask her. I don't know. That's a good question.
I think it's Moderna. I would think.
They're saying the Moderna lasts up to a year after your second shot. They're saying the Pfizer shot lasts several months. Of course, Johnson & Johnson trying to come out with a shot, just a one shot. I don't know when that'll be approved and how that'll work. But, the more and more people I talk to around, it seems like, they're 65 and up. The majority of everybody I talk to, parents, will at least have the first shot. So that's good.
It is good. And, again, bear with them because they're going to get around to you. And I know a lot of people are anxious still, that haven't been able to have that shot.
We got SEC basketball tonight. Auburn will travel to Vandy. Alabama will travel to Columbia to play South Carolina. Those games will both be on the SEC network tonight if you want to watch those.
I got some COVID trivia about South Carolina and their coach. He has had COVID twice. The head basketball coach of South Carolina. He had it in May.
Ray Martin?
Yeah, he had it in May, and then he had it in January, too. So everybody at one time said, you can't get it twice. Now, it's real rare, but there are people that have had it twice, and he's one of them.
Well, yeah, that's what my wife and I were talking about. Like, our nanny had it back in January, and then got tested for the antibodies months later. And we think we possibly could have. I don't know if I had it. I think everybody in my family had it all the way back in January. But you don't know.
Not this family. Maybe your family.
I'm talking about my family.
Yeah.
In Great Beach, might have had it back in January of last year.
So if you did,
anybody's left.
Well, I'm well versed on this. The studies say that the antibodies proper start to fade in most people in 2 to 3 months. So you're not going to get much protection from the antibodies. That's why so many people that think they had it in December and so forth, they got an antibody test in May and it was negative. Well, the antibodies it probably faded. But they say the real immunity comes from something called T cells and B cells. So it's not just antibodies that your body produces that confers immunity. And that immunity lasts for at least 8 months, maybe up to a year and a half. So most people that have had it, they believe that they're going to be naturally immune for at least 8 months.
Without taking the shot.
Yeah, without taking the shot. So Donald Trump is immune. My wife got the vaccine, but I told her, you really don't need to. She's had COVID. So
all right, let's say this as far as the listeners on this show, people watching this show, it's still be a good thing to take the virus, the shot.
Let's take the vaccine, you're saying.
Don't you think it's still a good thing to take the vaccine?
Well,
are you going to take the vaccine?
I'm waiting and seeing. I might. I'm not ruling it out, but if I can wait 5 or 6, 7 months and see if there's any real bad side effects, and I can avoid those, I won't take it. But if it looks like nobody's having any problems, and the virus is still around, which I don't even know if the virus is still going to be around, because it's disappearing pretty fast.
Yeah.
If you look
all
at
right, this is Bill Rice's opinion, and we all have an opinion. I say go ahead and take the shot if
well,
you can get it.
I say if you're 65 and older, I would take the vaccine.
Yeah.
They're waving at us, Mike.
Exactly. Hope you've enjoyed our show today, and you'll be with us in the morning, bright and early, for today in LA. See you
Have
then.
a good day.